Where do you want to pick back up?
Uh, yeah, let's just go with the presentation of the our Aaron Awards. So I will, just begin again. Hello, everyone. Another technical issues as always. I'm so sorry. Welcome to another Lighthouse Live. This is a very exciting show. Today we are hosting Aaron Awards co-founder Vinne and Marie. Welcome to Lighthouse Live. Of course, we went through this already, but let's do it again. Can you briefly introduce Aaron Awards? So why another awards show?
Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Do a better recap. When we got the idea for the Aaron Awards, we had already looked at what's happening in the AI space, having been in this space now for about 2 years. We saw a lot of AI film festivals, and then we've also seen a lot of the traditional award shows, which such as the Effies or the Webbies or Cannes Lion, where we started seeing these subcategories such as AI craft or something AI related. And we thought, well, we've been doing commercial work with AI now for 2 years. How can we actually give real justice to AI craft, to these creators who would love to be able to celebrate their work and that are doing fantastic work? And then on the other hand, we saw this, obviously, the stigma of AI slop has been going around for a while. We thought, well, there's got to be a way that we can combat that and actually set a true benchmark for AI craft in the industry, knowing that this is going to be how work is made moving forward. Like eventually we won't even be talking about AI at some point. It'll be a very natural part of everyone's life and everyone's workflow. And particularly in production, Vinny and I saw that coming from really, really far away. And now the creators, if they want to try and enter their work or get their work to be seen and celebrated, there's limited options to do that with the current award shows and the subcategories. And particularly where we've got in the traditional shows, you have people from the advertising agencies that have traditional backgrounds judging the work. Now, that's a very different eye with not much experience in AI. Secondly, those award shows are really expensive to enter. Like it's, you pay through the nose just to do one entry into one category. And so when we started talking to our peers in our network about this idea of Aaron Awards, and some of these people in our network are now on the panel because they are really shaping this era of AI and craft in our industry. And they said, well, this is exactly what we need, because if we can set a benchmark, we can also get more brands involved and actually get them to align on what really true AI craft and creativity should look like. And additionally, they can be judged fairly by people who actually have AI experience. So therefore, they've helped us workshop how we were to design the categories, etc. So yeah, that's really how Aaron came about. And it basically, we saw a white space there where really there's a real place for this in advertising, where we can really give attention to the creators who are doing fantastic work.
Yeah. And
Mm,
Aaron, I mean, if you enter, it's free. So it's
makes
for
sense.
everyone
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
join.
yeah.
And
It's free to
Yeah.
enter, and then we get a lot of questions about why we named it the Aaron Awards. So there was a British artist called Heron Cohen, which if you look him up and you see his work, you might actually recognize it. Is a very famous artist from the UK who built an Aaron machine, and that machine basically created art. And this was what, back in the 70s or
70s.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And so when we did our research, we found this. We thought, well, this is the perfect way to celebrate Aaron and the work that Harold did. So that's why it's called the Aaron
Yeah.
Awards.
Yeah. Aaron was basically the first ever AI
AI
artist out
artist.
of, yeah.
Wow. So cool. Um, you said before that um, people have double standards with AI works because if they're looking at traditionally shot ads, right? They just immerse into it, right? But with AI, as soon as they hear it's AI, they start looking at the little things, the little errors, that are still here, not for long, of course, but they are still there. So why is there such, hypocrisy, let's say? Because it's all about the message, it's all about aesthetics, it's all about ideas. It's not about, six fingers. We don't have six fingers anymore, but it's actually a good representation of AI, little AI mistakes, right? So why do you
Yeah.
think there's such a, hypocrisy is a very hard word. Do you have another word for this?
No, I think you're right, and I think a lot of it is driven by fear. But I also think that hypocrisy, or just seeing the current, or the world that was in a. I think everyone does that. I mean, when you get older, everyone thinks, oh, the past was better than now. We grew up so much better than the kids now, because the kids now have too much on, and they blah 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 blah. And I think there's a little bit of that going on as well, um, where people just think, oh, this is new, and there's a mistake here, and there's a mistake there, rather than looking at the opportunity it gives, um, especially creatively, and how it opens up more possibilities. So I think there's a bit of fear-driven motives there, but I think people also hide behind what we always get. Always, people say, well, if you start using AI, everything becomes beige, everything becomes mediocre. And I always say, let's not kid ourselves. Before AI, the majority of what was out there was also beige and mediocre.
Slop, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Slop
Yes,
done by humans.
yes. But
exactly.
now all of a sudden, everyone is blaming AI for that. Um, and I think that's just a mindset, and we need to go through it, and we need more people on the bandwagon to start flipping that perception. And you see it happening. There's more and more traditional creatives who are open-minded and who actually see, oh wow, I can do things now that I couldn't before, because I'm a copywriter and I could never actually show what I had in my mind, because I don't have the skills to draw or to visualize what I see. There's a whole lot of people who are jumping on board, but there's also still quite a few that, to your point, hypocritical, I don't know, but maybe, yeah, fear-driven, and looking for the mistakes rather than the opportunities it brings.
Yeah. And then obviously in advertising, like there's the there's the brands.
Yeah.
And so as much as we also see creatives who are like wanting to do the thing, and then you go, oh yeah, but the brand is not maybe
Ready.
like, yeah, ready for it, right? And I think that's also a bit of a journey to go on. So we're seeing more and more appetite for like, oh, well, we can do, we can gain efficiencies here, or we can do more of this over here. But as soon as it gets to product and talent, it's like, ooh, it's tricky. But I think it's a big change for people to get used to it. And I think also the lack of knowledge creates fear. So I feel like the more we spend, and what I've noticed is the more we spend time with people talking about this and giving real world examples, it starts to sort of go, oh, okay, like why not? Like this is actually like, I think people immediately think, oh my God, copyright issues, ethical issues, like that it's all just has a big, big problem mark on it. When you start to unpack it, they go, oh, okay. They start to kind of understand it a bit more too. But yeah, lack of education is definitely an instant, like, generates fear very quickly.
I understand that lack of education creates fear. Also, the speed of development is staggering. It's very, very hard to, you know,
Keep up.
think of the terms that everything is going at such speed. Something you've learned so far is irrelevant the next week. So it is, it is an issue. But the thing is, I thought that creatives are, a bit more curious. Of course, because in my experience, I'm having a lot of projects when creatives come to me and say, okay, let's just shoot this ad. And it's traditional ad, you have two people or three or talking, nothing special, right? This could be done with the camera much better if we're being honest. I mean, AI is not there yet, but it will soon be, right? But the thing is that what you can do with camera, or it takes a lot of time with the 3D studio to create something outraging, something out there, right? AI is doing that so much faster and better. And the thing is, I thought that people's uh, uh, um, people's imagination would flourish, would go, would explode, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's not. People are still wanting to just save money, right? So where are the grand ideas? Where is the imagination, things that we haven't seen before? Where is it?
Yeah. I love that
Well, yes.
question.
Yeah. No, and I mean, we spoke about it. I think that the one thing that's always said is that AI is exposing who isn't creative. And I think that's also what drives some of the fear. I think there is quite a few people out there that are not necessarily as creative as they think they are, or they're, well, try others to convince they are. And this is all of a sudden really exposing that. So I think there's partly that's there, but on the other side, I mean, we see wildly creative things that you just like, wow, this is so awesome. But then to MC's point, selling that into brands, whew, that's not easy yet.
Yeah.
Why not?
Because brands, they have also been in their own frameworks and the way, like if you look at the big FMCG companies, they have marketing is their bread and butter basically, and they have whole frameworks and processes that they need to go through to get to a comms output, and all those steps are quite rigid. And as we all know, is that one thing AI isn't is rigid. It's extremely iterative. So that doesn't actually fit those processes that the marketers are using. So it's not only challenging creativity, it's challenging structures of how brands work. And there's a lot of marketers out there that are extremely willing and adventurous. And we celebrate that at Aaron. Not only the creatives, but also the brands. And we have an ad of the week, and we try to really put those type of brands and teams to the forefront, because it's not only the creatives, it's also really those brands and those marketers that need to fight their own fight, especially in big corporates, and stand up against their big CMOs and their managers and saying, no, we're going to do this differently now. We're not going to follow all those 100 steps that we used to. We're just going to break the system, and we're going to work iterative, and we're going to do this. And I think that is quite similar to when digital came and we had the waterfall process for a long time. And then all of a sudden we started changing that to agile working, which was much better suited to digital, but it took a lot of transformation processes in all those corporates to get all these people on board, and especially the managers, because the managers said, well, yeah, but waterfall, I know exactly when I get what and how much I spend. With agile, I don't know what I'm getting and I don't know exactly how much I'm spending. So that makes people feel super insecure, especially if you are responsible for a P&L, and that's the one thing that you are accountable for. So I think this is very although AI is a different evolution altogether than digital, but I think the scrutiny on P&Ls and how big brands work is very similar to when we started introducing agile in digital.
Yeah. I think that's also the beauty of like when you start to look at the AI film festivals where like they can come up with whatever story and make anything they want and it's beautiful but like and then you get to air and it's like, well, this has actual constraints. Like this is a real brief. Like this is, you have to be able to infuse the brand world in here. You have to be able to deal with feedback. You have particular guidelines. Like it starts to become much harder, right? And so, but I think there's like a lot of inspiration to be taken from what's possible, right? Because anything basically is possible. But bringing it into a commercial setting is just, yeah, it just brings a whole other, a whole new layer to it, where you have to adhere to all these things within, within a brand. But then, yeah, I think the more with Aaron, the more we can put spotlight on the work that actually is fantastic, then we encourage more brands to be brave. So the brands that are now doing it, they're super brave. Like we posted out of the week that Fembot, the Svedka vodka robot ad, Shake It Off, because it's like they did something really, really brave. And then you have all the backlash, right? We've had some backlashes with some AI work from brands that were like to the point where they took it down. McDonald's like in the Netherlands, for instance, the Christmas one. After that, brands just like, hold on, we probably shouldn't do that. And then again, AI gets the blame for something that just wasn't great execution or not a great concept or whatever it might have been, right? So really hoping that like Aaron can help set the benchmark and then actually help brands get more brave about it and see like the possibilities with it.
Yeah. So it's interesting, big brands, right? I know that Coca-Cola with last year's New Year's ad, Christmas ad, had some backlash. But the thing is that I know a couple of people working on those ads, and the thing is that they've created this ad months ahead Christmas. And the thing is that tools back then, I mean, tools in 6 months is like day and night, right? The difference. So my question is, if big companies create ads, they have to wait a couple of months to get all the approvals and the
Exactly right.
testings and everything. So when the ad comes out, it's already old. It's already
Exactly right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant with rigid processes.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
So my question here is, how will the big companies adapt to this?
Oh, so I don't know how, but I do think that the same P&L that is holding them back because they can't really understand yet what the impact will be, will also drive the transformation because we will start seeing efficiencies and there will be a CEO or a CMO coming down like, hey, we need to do this because I need to save X. So I think that will be the driver from brands. And then it's up to the marketers to figure out, okay, I need to make a saving, but we can actually be braver and be more creative in this new way of working. So it's a double-edged sword, I think. How they will do it, I don't know. There's probably a whole lot of transformation consultants getting very, very rich on the back of this. I think because the promise of AI savings has been there now for 2 years, but companies are saying we've implemented everything, but we actually don't see the savings. So it is about adoption and it's about changing the processes within those companies.
Yeah, like more fundamentally, because I think they've been adding it on. So far, it's been a bit of an add-on and a bit of a trial and error.
Yeah,
and then
checklist.
Suddenly, and then just think that, we're going to have a return on investment. It's like, well, no, actually, that's just not the case with this technology. It means it requires like fundamental structural changes to a business. But you'd think that like when it comes to producing marketing material, and if you're working with external, vendors or agencies and partners, you'd think that that process should be quicker. But with the ethic guardrails and frameworks and governance around AI, it adds another layer to this 100-step process,
And
right?
insecurity.
Yeah, and
All right.
also, I mean, the first question you get from a big brand is, who is going to carry the risk here?
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly. Yeah.
If you're a sole trader, just an artist, you cannot carry the risk of 20 million on the back of you. So then the big company says, okay, no, then I'm not doing it. Well, okay, then nothing happens.
Yeah.
So I think that whole mindset needs to change.
Yeah. There are some questions in the comment section. We will definitely check them out just a bit later. So you guys keep on coming. I see you. Hey Chris, hey Roland, and hey Giuseppe. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. All those will be addressed. But right now, I want to talk about judges. By the way, you have an incredible roster of panel judges. It's just
Don't
insane,
we? Yeah.
Really talented creatives. I respect each and all of them. So, who can be judge? What is the criteria for Aaron Awards to be judge? Yeah.
Oh, I love that question.
Yeah.
I'll go first. Well, for me, it was so most of the people on the panel, because obviously it's been an evolving thing a little bit, but the core talent on the jury, they have been in our network already for years. So we have seen them come up through the ranks and like basically be the leaders in AI for the past few years. So most of them were so obvious to me and Vinne when we started looking at like who's going to actually do this. And it also has that real combination of artists that do actual commercial work, like for the likes of Hugo and Chrissy, etc. They understand the constraints that they have to work within. So that was critical, because you have fantastic AI creators, but if they don't have the commercial understanding, they're not going to know what they're looking at. So that's obviously really critical. But then you also have this group of chief creative officers, like C-levels in creative agencies. That was also quite tricky, but we had to look at people that really are shaping this space. So Craig is obviously at the forefront of that. Rohir is with the superheroes. Joe from Jellyfish, like they're all are really deep in it and understand it at a very, very fundamental level. And so even for them, it was such an obvious thing when we reached out, because it was like, well, of course, this is what we need. Like, and we have to be part of that. Like for them, it was almost important to be in it, because they realized that this is what's actually happening in the industry, and this is the next frontier of the industry. So it's critical that the fundamentals are in place. I'll let Vinne to add to that. I'm sure she's got more to say.
Yeah, no, I think you've covered who is on it. I think the only thing is to probably mention is who's not on it, because there's more people of that caliber out there, and it's just at some point you say, okay, we have a cap, so for next year, I mean, people are reaching out. Please continue doing that, because this is evolving, and I really hope that this will continue and be even bigger next year. And it's not that this panel is the only people that are of that caliber. There's many more. We were just very lucky that the moment we reached out with just an idea, literally it was an idea on a paper, and all these people rallied behind us immediately. And we were so lucky to get their support and said, okay, let's do this. So yeah, we're very, very grateful. They're all awesome, but they're not the only one who are awesome.
Yeah, there's heaps. There's so many more now. But I think also just the the evolution only in the last like year has been incredible in terms of this talent as well. So it's moving at such fast pace. But yeah, it's exciting to see like what's going to be the next sort of, hopefully the next jury panel for next year. We're kind of already looking at it.
Yeah.
So how do you persuade top talent to include their works into Aaron Awards? I mean, everybody is so busy. Usually, a couple of months in advance, or doing their own personal project. So how do you persuade those people, persuade those people
Yeah.
to enter the awards? And they need to upload their their commercial work or personal work. So how do you persuade them?
Well, I think crucial is the jury panel there. I think everyone in our field respects, like what you said as well, respects these folks. So they really think, okay, if these people are looking at the work, I want to be putting my work in front of that. But it's also a lot of people who are just supportive of the fact we are a community who are fighting the perception of AI slop together. And we can only do that together. So inputting and submitting your work and making sure that that gets the stage. And we've got the award show with the best work out there at the moment is going to help us as a community show that there is an alternative to AI slop. So I think it's obviously it has a driver of a personal driver for everyone who's submitting because they want to win and they want these people to see their work. But I'm also convinced that we as a community are rallying together to make sure that the perception is changing and that brands' perceptions are changing and that we as a community all together get more work and more interesting briefs and that it's not only about how can we save money anymore. So that's how we're trying to persuade people. If we see beautiful work, we go to them directly and just say, hey, I think this is fantastic. You should consider submitting. And it's free. So that's not a hurdle. What we do get from quite a few is, there's quite a bit of information you need. But then when we explain, but this is a commercial award show. It's not just about showing a pretty film. There needs to be a reason why you make the film and what are you trying to achieve with it for the brand. And once you start explaining that, everyone gets it. And we've been change or optimizing the submission process all along. So every feedback we get, we do something with it and we try to make it seamless and easier for everyone to submit. So please everyone, keep on submitting. The deadline is the 28th of Feb.
You actually extended the deadline. Why?
We did. Because a lot of people came to us and said, I'm just not quite ready. I want to submit this, but I need another. And we thought,
I know that very well.
do
That's
it.
a never-ending story. I mean, we as artists are never 100% satisfied with our work, right? And at one point, we just have to stop and say, I hope that's good enough. Usually it's very, very good, but to us artists, it's never good enough.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But the tools have been evolving. I mean, they've been evolving constantly, but now with Seedance, I mean, there's so much new releases that people want to use for their work that we thought, okay, let's just give everyone another 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Go hard, everyone, and just submit 28th of February.
And that'll be the final.
Yes,
deadline.
No extensions after that.
So my bet would be you extend it because Seedance 2 is coming in next couple of days. So people are waiting just for that shot. I have to create that shot with Seedance 2, otherwise this is not working. Right?
Exactly right.
But the same question for judges. So you said that you already have relationship with those people, right? How do you have any people, any judges from traditional production? So non-AI production.
Well, yeah, they came. I mean, even
They
like a
came from.
Hugo
Yeah,
used to be traditional, right?
yeah.
Chrissy, same. I
Gabe
mean,
the
even
same.
Wesley Terhaar, I mean, he's never been traditional, but he came from the digital side. So I think most of them have
Have
a
come from
traditional,
it. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they've just been quite deep in it for a while in the last few years.
yeah,
That's probably the main difference.
yeah,
So you are also a production company, yeah?
yeah.
You're not just doing your words, you're also doing production company. So how long have you been doing, let's say, when did you start creating the first AI ads? That was about 2 years ago, yeah?
Yeah, about 2.5 years ago. Yeah.
So I remember 2.5 years ago, things weren't as smooth as they are right now, right?
We had
Yeah,
six
yeah,
fingers.
yeah. So
We had only 6 fingers and then sometimes 7 and 3 legs.
yeah, exactly. So um, about 2 years and a half ago, I made money most of education, lots of workshops and that kind of stuff. But you guys already produced AI ads. So how did that look? How did you persuade the client that they go to for AI works?
Two
How?
reasons.
Sorry,
Two
Two
reasons.
reasons.
yeah,
Yeah. Budget,
budget.
because they just didn't have the budget. So the only option to make it was AI. But I think more importantly, timelines.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the
They
It's been
just,
a
quality
lot of.
wasn't there yet. So how did the client say, okay, I'm good with this quality, let's go with this? Yeah.
It was just a lot of manual retouching,
yeah,
quite a few of the things were done manually or was somewhat of a hybrid where AI was a component. So it wasn't like a end-to-end 30-second films. We did 30-second films, but for social, where we had like shot one component and done AI and AI post in another component. I remember one of the very early projects, I had to convince the AI artist to do a test because he was like, MC, I'm not sure. Like, I don't think we can do this. And this was a project for Schweppes where we had to have a woman walking on a tightrope between two buildings in a specific location in Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah.
And he was at the time one of the absolute top VFX AI artists.
you know who you are when you're listening.
Yeah, you know who. Yeah, back in the day, like 2 years ago, right? And he was like, "I'm not sure. We should shoot it." And I said, "Please, I need you to test. You need to just experiment. Just try it." And he came back, and it was amazing. His test was awesome. He had a ballerina literally walking between two billboards. And the creative team were just like, yes, let's do this. But it was a really hard production. Like, it was tough.
And that was one that would have never happened if we would have proposed a traditional, because it was just the budget. There was no budget for that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, Luca, I don't want to say that was easy, right? It was not like the briefs were thrown at us from right, left, and center. It was a massive hustle, and it's still a hustle. We're hustling every day to get work.
It is, but managing expectations 2 years ago and now, it's a day and night.
Oh, 100%.
You had to take a lot of time to educate the client and to say what we can do, how we can do, and what we cannot yet do, right?
Yeah.
Right now, I have this feeling that when someone asks me, is this possible? Yes. My answer is straight, yes, it is.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and also I remember from that, like one of those projects where back then it was like, we don't really know what's not going to work. So for example, like with the test, it looked great and everything. But then when they started adding stuff like we want her to wear this, or they started getting very specific about how should she be walking, immediately we were like, oh, well, we didn't know it was going to be hard to work out how to animate her arms. Like we did, those were one of the things. Whereas like back then it was like, I remember having these conversations like, it's great, but just so you know, like once we get into it, we may not know what kind of issues we'll run into. Whereas now it's like, it's fine.
Yeah, but
exactly.
I think still now, and I think that's again the commercial setting we work in, the briefs you get are not necessarily AI briefs.
No,
So
that's another problem.
Yeah, we recently worked on something that the client had an idea that was quite traditional, and didn't have much AI experience. And that was a lot of hand holding, and it wasn't to us very clear, or the artist we worked with, oh, can we actually nail this to the T? Because that's what they are expecting to get. So I think that education, even though everything is possible for that specific commercial brief, you still can't say 100% yes, you'll get this 100% right. So it's still that hand holding, it's still that education, it's still constantly having those caveats like, we're getting close, but I'm not sure if we're going to get it like exactly how you draw it or how you have pictured it. So it's better for sure, but I don't think it's as smooth as if you present a storyboard for a shoot where everyone understands the process. Yes.
Yeah. It's just come a crazy long way since then. But there's like those briefs where it's like, oh, it's got to be so exact to this thing. It's like, okay, well, that's going to be hard.
Yeah.
That's why we always keep in mind the traditional method where we need to, whether we should shoot this or, hand animate this. So we always have that in mind, and talent can always do that. So it's almost always some form of hybrid to a degree.
Mm-hmm. So one of the big things in AI landscape is education. This is something that you have to do all the time. You have to constantly test new things. You have to read about things. You have to talk with people about their approach. There's constant growing, constant learning. And it's getting to a point that it's a lot, But we used to learn the 3D software, and you could operate with that software for 20 years. Now those days are gone, right? So where do you guys get your education? How do you educate yourself? Do you also do testing? How do you approach this thing?
We do a lot of test briefs with artists, and then just collaborating with them, what's new and what's working, what's not working, what workflows work. So yeah, it's a lot of working together with the community, and it's true. And I think what we really try to convince artists about is that you need to consider that in the way you price your work, because traditionally you price your work based on what you deliver in that one thing, but that one thing we might make that now much quicker than we used to, but the amount of training and all your experience that you build over the years and years before you got on the tools need to be accounted for too. Because it's not just making work, it's keeping yourself educated, training, testing, all the credits that you use while you test, while you do your test briefs, while you do your spec ads, all that needs to be accounted for in that one little piece that you're making for that client.
Yeah, it's a lot of investment, right? Like a lot of the people we work with, they work in every single model and platform. Like it's a pretty big investment to be able to be staying on top of it all the time. But I think the best learning, at least for me, has been having been very actively doing the commercial work has been the real test to what we know today and what we think we'll know more tomorrow. Like, I feel like that has been the most helpful part. And then learning from the community, whether it's, other producers or other artists or filmmakers, whatever it might be, like that's been sort of the most organic way to, I find, cut through the noise of it a little bit and just get straight to it. Especially because we're not on the tech side. So we don't stand behind like a particular piece of tech or anything like that, right? We're completely agnostic. So it's a lot more about the human approach to it and what do you get the real value for commercial work as opposed to just general knowledge of of the technology or AI in general, because it's just so big, right? It's just huge.
Yeah. So usually people educate themselves. It's so cool because you have all the knowledge out there, right? If you can get it on internet, on YouTube, but you can always come to Lighthouse Academy. We have
Exactly
a couple
right.
of really, really nice courses. AI for creative leaders. We have advanced Confi, basic Confi, and AI for architects. So if you want to educate yourself, definitely check out lighthouseacademy.ai and go through our courses, see if something fits. Also, the new thing is one-on-one mentors. We have a really nice, always growing, ever-growing roster of mentors. So check it out. Visit our site, check it out, and if you want to book one-on-one with one of our mentors, please go ahead and educate yourself. All right, that was an ad.
A little plug. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
Because
yeah.
it's the best training out there is Lighthouse. We know
At
that
this
for a
moment,
fact.
it's very, very easy to say it is, yeah, because none of other education platforms have this kind of curriculum, has this kind of in-depth, and of course, mentor rosters. We are very, very proud of this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
So
it's
amazing.
awesome.
absolutely check it out and see if you will find something. All right, let's chat about non-commercial artists, right? So those are always pushing the limits of technology. But Aaron is for commercial works only. Do you see some kind of intersection between non-commercial and commercial works? Did you see
Absolutely.
some applications for, this is not really an ad, a commercial work, but it's so good that we have to include it.
Oh, well, that's a different question. I think that's probably a no, because this is a commercial award show, but there's absolutely a fusion of the two. And what you see a lot is that the best artists, are extremely creative. So the way they tackle a commercial brief is just awesome. And a lot of artists do commercial work to make some money. And then of that money, they have time to do their artistic work. So there's a lot of crossover of just pure artists or filmmakers. We've got so many fantastic people who make films, just feature films in AI. And on the side, they make the best ads out there. So yeah, there's absolute fusion there. But this award is just purely for commercial work, because there's so many award shows out there already for generic film work.
Yeah. Yeah, and we do have the spec ad category, which is a bit more where people can actually play. There were actually some really interesting entries where you could tell it's passion projects, but they could fit very well to be commercially kind of retrofitted. And then you can tell when someone is doing commercial work, but you can tell when they actually do their own art on the side. Like, there's some of the best artists and creatives that actually do that. Like, they will be super savvy in that space. They've worked with brands for many years or within agencies, and they will do their art work on the side. I think those are some of the strongest, because they bring it. It's almost like a different part of their artistic side and expression that comes in, and I think that elevates and makes the work more interesting. But yeah, the spec ad category is, I mean, we have so many entries into the spec ad category.
Definitely because, the most popular one.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone wants to participate, and there's fantastic artists that are ready to do commercial work. They just don't yet have had the opportunity. And so that's why we thought the spec ad category needs to be in there, because there's going to be talent that's ready for it. But that's just may not just have gotten the right relationships or connections yet to do it. So yeah, that is a very popular category.
I think that's a very good call to do that, because there are no limitations with commercial ads. There is, like we figured out before, right? There is a limitation of things that you can do, you're able to do. Imagination is not limited, it's not capped. So with spec ads, you really can go above and beyond, right? Yeah. So I think that you can see one of the best works in that category. Yes.
Yeah. 100%. It's there's. I mean, the caliber is really high. It's fantastic what we see. But again, I mean, we also see some entries there that are not actually ads. So even though it's a spec, it still needs to be an ad. It still needs to be commercially
have a brand to it.
Have a brand to it or commercial purpose. So I think that's what makes Erin different to the Chroma Awards or all the other awards out there.
One of a kind. All right, let's check out a couple of comments. Chris Branch. Hey, Chris. I've heard from people overly reliant on generative AI that they are losing their ideation skills and are needing to take regular breaks to practice their creative ideation without learning too much on LLMs to think of ideas for you. AI is incredible for execution, but over-reliance on ideation makes us lose our creative skills. That's a very good comment.
We talked about that as of this morning with a fantastic AI filmmaker, and it's just the writers, I think, are in a very, very unique spot, because their writing skills sits with them. They have full authorship and ownership there. And then basically AI just kind of becomes a bit of a, I can't remember the term, but the way I kind of like to talk about it, it's almost like if it becomes a symbiotic relationship where you can get the AI to kind of question you on what you're thinking, then you're still having ownership of your own ideas and your own creativity and your own thought process. But I mean, you just have to, it all comes down to how you collaborate with AI. And I think you might get into a rhythm where it's like, oh, I need to take a break. Totally get that. Like, go for a walk on the beach. Because what does it come down to? It comes down to,
we can go for a walk on the beach.
Yeah, we can.
We're in Australia.
We live in Sydney. Not everyone can. I have that as an example because there's a lot of you feel a lot when you walk on the beach, just because lived experiences are usually what generates ideas, right? To a certain degree, or something that we experience, something that we see or hear or feel. But I think it just comes down to how you choose to collaborate with AI. And I totally hear you on execution, but I think and this is what we talked about a little bit earlier. We talked a little bit about the creative process of a lot of storytellers now is transforming, right? So this is exactly that. Like it's gotten to a point where you might have to question yourself, like, what is my craft? What is my thought process? What is my truth? If it's going on the beach, whatever it might be, going to the movies, it might be something else. But it's an interesting journey that most creators are on with these. And I think we need to embrace that. Like, it's a good thing because you are in charge of that. You own that yourself, right? And you You have to just be more conscious about it. And I think that's what people might forget. It's like that typical friction we have in traditional, the friction is already there. But now, because there's no friction, it's almost like we have to create that again. And so it all comes down to just being a lot more conscious about your thought process, your ideation, what's yours, what should be yours, what is a collaboration with AI, and it might not always be the case. And we see that with a lot of writers. They just do their own writing, and then the rest is pretty much, then everything is just executed in AI, more or less.
It's
I think
it's all
I
about
think
how
yeah,
you're using the tools, right?
yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's a fantastic question, because this is honing into human nature, and we as humans are lazy. And this tool can allow you to be lazy. So to MC's point, the only one to fight that back is yourself. And I think that when the calculator came, it's a fantastic example. No one can calculate in their head anymore, or hardly anyone in our generation. Whereas my mom, that generation, can all do it. So we became lazy in that sense. Our brains became lazy, and we allowed the tool, a very simple tool, to take over that brain capacity. And I think AI, if we're not careful, can do the same thing. Yeah. So we as creatives need to challenge ourselves constantly and be aware, do not be lazy. And just make that extra effort, because before you know it, you create slop, because it's just easy to do so. I think it's a fantastic question, and it's absolutely a risk, especially for those people who are not necessarily very creative themselves.
So let's talk about this. You mentioned that being lazy produces slop, yeah? But I can see it in the near future that most of corporations will have automized process for ads, yeah? So there will be 80 to 90% of things that we see digitally will be just slop, right? And it will differentiate between agent work and the human work.
Yeah.
There will still be people that will put their ideas into their works, versus majority of stuff that will be the result of just, pressing a button. Yeah.
But I think there again, Luca, what I said earlier about we shouldn't kid ourselves. That majority, that lower funnel creation, has never been great. And
exactly.
It's been templatized for ages already.
Yeah, we see those commercials for, large stores that are completely non-creative, just to have that airtime, just to brainwash people, right?
Yeah.
So this is nothing new. It's just there will be more of it. We used to have static images. Now everything will be in motion.
Moving,
Yeah.
yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it'll be just more of the slop.
Exactly. More slop. Yeah.
But it's also interesting, Luca. I think that some of those purchases, so the lower funnel purchases of the common use things like toilet paper, I think in future those purchases won't be made by people either. They're just being made by agents. So those commercials or those ads are for agents, not for humans. So they will be optimized in a different way anyway, because an agent makes decisions on different criteria than we humans do. So I think that whole, and it's still where a lot of media money goes, and probably the majority of media money goes into that lower funnel of common used products like toilet paper, like deodorant, like those kind of things that people have to buy often. And I think that the way that's going to be purchased and how we purchase and how do we communicate those products will completely change in the near future.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be
Um,
AI talking to other AIs,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
yeah.
There's no
That
human involved
internet
there.
theory, which is really
Yeah,
becoming a reality.
yeah,
Yeah.
To Roland, he said it doesn't what or which tool you use. If the fundamentals are off, it's off. And that's why
Yeah.
the traditional artists are blooming right now because they're using AI to enhance their traditional work because they have everything is already figured out. The
Yeah.
language, the communication, everything still stands. Those are the fundamentals that will not change. And I'm so staggered by the fact that people don't want to go get into AI because if they um, if they have 20, 30 years of experience in their fields, how much will their work be elevated? That's just insane because all the fundamentals are covered. They just add an AI layer and they don't have to use it all the time or for all use cases. Sprinkle it here and there and you are stellar, right?
Yeah. Totally.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giuseppe is saying maybe AI tools will stabilize over time and the evolution of models won't be as rapid as it is now. The thing is that, Giuseppe, that uh, um, we have come to a point that we have like 90 to 92% of accuracy. We are almost there, right? And I've been saying this for so long. We're almost there. And we will be, I guess, sooner or later. But those last 5, 7%, is just so hard to do. So we will probably need a year or two to get to 99% because with the fusion technology you can't be 100% because it's based on chaos. But we can get to that 98 or 99%, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Kiel is saying there should be a balance of real filmmakers and AI filmmakers. Kiel, I disagree. I just think that there should be creators and makers,
Yeah.
without traditional, without
Yeah.
AI, just artists, not AI artists, just artists,
That's right.
and it doesn't matter what tool did you use to produce something beautiful. It's about an effect that the product is having upon us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
totally.
And
Yeah.
some of
I
the
mean, we're
best
in
ones,
this. Yeah,
some of the best ones that we work with now, like they are incredible traditional filmmakers and they're like just as good in AI.
yeah.
So it like does it matter?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
But we're in a
exactly.
phase now where it does,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that will like. I mean, 20 years ago you had digital creatives and traditional creatives. Now, I mean that doesn't exist anymore. A creative is a creative. They do digital and traditional, and that will happen the same with AI. But it is now sort of its own industry, because there's such a divide, and people need to free themselves up. To your point earlier, Luca, to educate themselves. And if you have a full-time job in an agency, you need to be billable. So you work, well, if you're lucky, you work for 40 hours a week, but most often it's more. And where do you have the time to educate yourself? Especially if you have a family and you have other things to do besides work. So that's really difficult, and that's holding a lot of the creatives back. And that's why you have AI artists and traditional artists at this very moment. But
Yeah.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, that will go away.
Yeah.
And will just be creatives.
Yeah, absolutely. And also you raised a very good topic here. AI artists have to constantly work, have to constantly educate themselves, have to have time with their families, have to, I mean, and also work. Work is 8 hours. I just, no one that's working right now is working 8 hours a day.
No.
8 hours a day is, a nice memory from the past. Right
Yeah.
now, everybody's working minimum 10 hours a day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
minimum.
Yeah.
So, but it also affects us,
Yes.
mentally, because we really have to take care of us, take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do people balance between work and education and life itself?
They need
Do
a
we
good
just
producer.
work? Are we under? You know, why aren't we getting mad? Why aren't we getting insane? Yeah.
No, I think honestly, I'm joking, but I think AI artists need to think about, can they find a good producer to protect them? And there's two things that a good producer can do. Is one is manage your time, so they make sure that you get a break. But secondly, they can negotiate better rates for you. So
Yeah.
you have to work less because you get the same amount of money for fewer hours.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
think, and that's really funny. I think that is something in the AI world that we can borrow from the traditional world. The traditional world understands the value of producers. AI artists don't understand that yet. And I think producers can help there. They can make
Yeah.
sure that you balance your work, you get better pay, and you get more fun out of your work. Therefore,
Yeah, exactly. And they take away the whole hassle of having to educate and manage the client on a daily basis, right? When
Yeah.
you're doing brand work.
Yeah.
So that you have more time for the work and then be able to have a break at some point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
it's an interesting phenomenon that this is not happening, that's not translated from the traditional side. I'm not
Um,
sure why that is.
my guess would be because AI artists come from all walks of life, and they don't know, most of them. They don't know how things are working in traditional work. They
Yeah,
don't
that's
know
probably
about
it.
agents. They don't know about representatives. Yeah. So
Yeah.
me myself included, we just think that we have to work, we have to get the jobs, and we have to say yes to anything because we will soon become irrelevant. If you say no, you will become irrelevant.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
I was just having conversation with Douglas McGuinness. He's working for for really large companies, and he is booked in way in advance. And the thing is that if even a bigger company comes and they say we need your work, right? We want to work with you, and they have to say no,
yeah,
and that sucks,
yeah.
Yeah.
So, do
Well,
you
and
have
that's
any
again,
advice for artists um, that don't know about the traditional approach with agents or with representatives? Do they have any advice?
give us a call.
It's that. Give us a call. Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
I
help.
mean, we can help, but also I think one other thing I think that's happening here in this space that's very different to how traditional works is that brands in this space approach artists directly. Brands never directly approach a film director
Huh.
Yeah.
because they don't know what to do with a film director. Whereas with an AI director, they think, oh, I can brief an AI director. And 9 out of 10 times the brief that lands on your desk is not great because it is not articulated in a way that you exactly understand what you're supposed to do. And that's really what a producer can do. So they work with a client to first nail that brief before it even lands on your desk. And then you look at the brief, you scope it, like, okay, I think I need this and that. Then the producer goes back to the client and says, okay, this is how much time and this is the money we need. And there's always a bit of a buffer in there. And so I think that is something that artists also need to start to get used to, that when you get approached by a client directly, they say, oh, great, yes, let me get my producer in.
Yeah. Yeah, because the
because it's just
producer could also
helpful.
be your representation, right? Because you talked a little about representation, and in most markets, I think it's similar, but at least here, yeah, the executive producer acts as a bit of representation for
Yeah,
the or the director. And I think like I mean, even brands, like usually they will go to their agency or their
yeah,
studio partner or whatever it is. But yeah, this is like a new phenomena where
yeah.
they like, oh, I'll just go straight. But it's going to just drive the artist crazy as well, because the brand language is going to be very different to the artist's
Yeah.
language.
Yeah.
And
And
also,
there's
I
just a
mean,
massive gap there, I think.
yeah, and I think there's also a risk. I mean, we speak to a lot of brands that burned themselves because they did this, and they think, God, I get frustrated with this artist because they don't do exactly what I want. And I'm like, yeah, but they don't understand your language. And then I don't want to do it anymore, or I don't want to work with that particular artist. And the artist did, I mean, we look at it and we think, well, we totally understand why this artist got where he or she got to. But it's two completely different languages they speak, and they don't meet in the middle. So I think in AI, the producer is completely undervalued.
Yeah, absolutely. Not just that. I mean, the AI, the AI artists, we are not very focused on one thing. We have to be directors. We have to be DOPs. We have to be art directors. We have to be, everything, and producers. Everything
Everything.
in one person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Masha has a great comment. Hi, Masha. She's saying we also have to highlight that it's not just longer hours, it's longer hours with an extensive cognitive workload, learning on the go while also working on the top tier output. So, yes, good producers to manage clients and the artist's time.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also,
That's
don't forget, we're all behind our screen that 10, 12 hours a day.
Mm.
And that's not healthy either.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
that's right.
So
Yeah.
we just need to get away from this and walk on the beach. We're very lucky. But that's all mental health, right? That all goes into the same bucket. And if you make those 10, 12 hours and the cognitive load is extremely high in front of a screen, you can't do that forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do it for a big project where the deadline is like, and you can pull through, but then you need a break before you
Yeah.
go to the next one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also you mentioned something else, Luca, like this whole idea of like one artist should be doing the animation, should be
Yeah.
doing the producing, should be doing the directing. What we're trying to pull that apart more with projects where we actually see the need for having more specialized talent across the board so that it's more of a team.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's also just from you're wanting to achieve a certain level of finite craft, right? You're wanting to look at specialists and pull them in. But I also think there's a social impact on the work when you are completely solo. So yes, the artist might have cognitive load doing everything themselves and doing 12-hour days, but also there is something to be said about work that has been touched by multiple people and the social that happens in collaboration
Yes.
and how that impacts the work. So I think it's important to try and actually collaborate more.
Yeah.
Like even if it's the color grade and the animation part here or whatever it is, right? The different components of a job. But it would benefit from doing that, because I worry that people are just sitting in their basements just on their own doing everything. What
Absolutely.
does that do to the work? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree completely. And that's why we are so proud in Lighthouse Academy of our community. And we see this organic collaboration between people, right? They're not just sitting in their basements in front of their computers. They're collaborating together. And it's so good that you see the products of those collaborations on another level,
Yeah.
and this
That's
is
awesome,
where
right?
this is
Yeah.
where traditional aspect goes into play. So
Yeah.
everybody does the job that they're being best at. So
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much for
Well, thank
visit.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Luca.
this has been
Yeah.
a crazy good debate. So again, Aaron Awards, you have extended the deadline. Deadline is
28th of February.
February 28th.
February 28th. You have that's nine
What is
more
it?
days.
9 days.
Yes.
9 days, yeah.
So I've seen
Yeah.
a couple of videos, people saying I've done this in 2 or 3 days. You still have a lot of time. You can produce 2 or 3 ads. So
Yeah.
Keep
no
going.
excuses. No excuses. Go in, Aaron Awards.
Yeah, but yes, I do want to just one nuance there. We look at when it's produced. So if you have older work where you think, oh, the tools have evolved, because all our judges are so incredibly skilled, they know exactly what was possible 4 months ago. So don't feel like you can't submit work that was made 4 months ago because you feel like, oh, there's already things that can be done now that I didn't apply then. If it is good storytelling, it is for Aaron.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
look at the time when you created it.
All right, perfect. Thank you both again, Marie, Vinne.
Thanks, Luca.
Let's hope for another chat in on the next Aaron Awards, right?
Would love it.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Sure.
Thank you
Thanks,
again.
Luca.
Bye bye.
Thanks,
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.